Welcome to the Athletes for Hope pod, specifically the Wellbeing Athlete podcast. I am your host, Dr. Mena Mirhom, Chief Wellbeing Officer of Athletes for Hope, and I am delighted today to be joined by a great friend of Athletes for Hope, Jack Beer, who is a professional soccer player in the great land of Europe over there in Spain. And we'll get more into like your whole background of how you got there. But before playing in Spain, Jack played right here in New York City. We're recording right in the heart of New York for New York City FC. Before that, played for Georgetown. Had amazing seasons there. Was actually the most outstanding offensive player in the Big East tournament in 2019. So just a lot of awesome career achievements over both the collegiate level, the professional level, and then we'll get into some things also on the mental health advocacy level. So welcome, Jack. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Appreciate you. So just for folks maybe who haven't seen like your full journey, can you just walk us a little bit through like your sports journey? When did you start getting into soccer? Like what was that all like for you?
Yeah. So I basically started playing soccer ever since I could walk.
Okay.
My first birthday cake was actually a soccer field, so I say it was kind of meant to be.
No way.
And I just started playing for my town team growing up. I showed like signs of talent, so I started progressing and played for higher club teams. I spent the majority of my soccer youth career playing for this team called New York Soccer Club, where I had great coaches, really good system of play, where I was able to develop technically, tactically, and there was when I started getting recruited by college coaches. And I didn't really actually know a lot about college soccer. I just loved kind of kicking soccer balls in nets and having fun with my friends. So I was a bit clueless to the whole recruitment process, if I'm going to be honest. But something felt really right about Georgetown when they reached out, and I really liked connecting with their coach there. He showed a lot of interest in me and just seemed like an overall really nice guy, and good school, good program, good team. So when I visited, I felt that was the right choice for me, and that's where I decided to go. That whole experience was a bit up and down. I don't know how much you want me to get into the details now, but my freshman year, I had really high expectations for myself for playing, and I wanted to start every game. I wanted to be the Big East freshman of the year, and although I didn't start, I was still playing a decent amount, but mentally I just got in my head a little bit. And then I guess we can get into the details a bit later. But well, how much do you want me to get into?
Yeah, we can get into it now if you want, because I know, part of what we're going to get into is just kind of the impact of the mind part of the game sort of at each stage, both on the college level and the professional level. So maybe just touch on that. So that already kind of going into being recruited and going to a new environment, Georgetown in DC, big school, big program, great place. What were like the expectations off the bat? Did you feel like it sounds like you put a lot of expectations on yourself, and you wanted it to go, really, really well right off the bat. Yeah. What were sort of the ups and downs in that process?
Yeah, I think for every player it's different, and everyone has different goals. For me, like I said, I wanted to be starting every game. I was used to playing 90 minutes every game, full game, being one of the best players on my team. So this was the first time I had to compete for minutes. And I think I was naive in that process as well. Probably wasn't challenged enough when I was playing on the youth level. So this was just a bigger challenge for me, and I think I struggled with it mentally if I wasn't one of the best players or starting every game. So like I said, I was playing a lot as a freshman, but I didn't think I probably realized how well I was actually doing. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. I had high expectations. So after the end of my freshman year, I really started considering stepping away from soccer because I wasn't enjoying it. I lost a lot of love for the game.
So did you feel like the love for the game was sort of tied into you being like the guy? Like if I'm not the guy, I don't even know if I really want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think it had something to do with that for sure. And that's when I started questioning how much do I actually love playing versus how much do I love being the guy and like having it relate to my identity, my belonging, the amount of like love I was getting and just overall attention. But I think it was unquestionable, like from a very young age, I had a love of soccer, period. And I think the overall feeling was just really confused because something I had loved and enjoyed so much was no longer giving me the same love and joy. So that was really, really stressful and confusing.
And it's hard probably when you're going to college in general, you're trying to figure out who you are, trying to figure out where you belong, what your identity is, what your status is. Was there somebody around you that was like, "Hey, Jack, like you're still good at soccer, bro. You still got this," or
Yeah, everyone, my friends, my friends were, I would come to them saying like, look, I'm really not feeling this anymore. I don't know how long I want to do this, and they're just like, you cannot quit, and you're too good. You still have time. Wait more years, more seasons. You're just a freshman. But I was just really, really in my head. I mean, every day was really like a battle in that sense. Practice started to become kind of that grind. It felt like a job. Wasn't enjoying it. And I just, like I said, I mean, I had a lot of anxiety performing on the field, and it translated also off the field with just overall being at college, because picking up everything and going to a new place without your family at that age is hard enough in general. But when you add the pressure of wanting to succeed and play on the field and balancing that with school, it can get very, very hard.
There's something probably that people may not always appreciate about like collegiate sports or even professional sports. There's the element obviously where you're competing with the other team, but there's a little bit of competition like within your team. You're competing for minutes, you're competing for a position in the spot. What was like the team vibe or the culture? Was it like, oh, we're all trying to outplay each other so I get more minutes than you?
I think it just you reach a certain level where it's not all about fun and games anymore. People are competing for minutes at the end of the day. So there was still a family aspect to it, but it was a different level. I mean, it wasn't even questionable that, people are trying to win spots. And for me, like I said, I wasn't used to that. You're trying to please the coach. Like I said, there's closeness and brotherhood and things that are of that nature that are beneficial to a team culture. But on the other side of it, there's also a lot of competition on the field.
And as you were adjusting, let's say in that first year, so you're like having these thoughts of whether or not you step away. It sounds like you continued though. What happened next?
I continued throughout my freshman season. But actually at the end of my freshman year, that summer, I was really in my head, should I stop? Should I continue? And I actually called my coach. I decided to stop and take a step away from the game. So I was really nervous about how he would respond. And he told me, look, we think you're a great player, a great person. Obviously, we're sad hearing this news, but take your time, talk to us, and if you want to come back, you're welcome back on the team. Just let us know, so we'll keep in touch and yada yada. So that sophomore year, I got to watch from the stands the team play, and I think watching gave me a really nice perspective when I wasn't inside of the locker room, inside of the emotion, and I got to see, for example, freshmen that played 10 minutes and maybe not even play a game, but play here and there, still look like they're making an impact. And that showed me that I think the emotion was getting the better of me in that moment. Like I said, I think I was doing better than I thought I was. So it was things like that. It was just knowing that I missed the game really as well. So within a couple months, I reached back out to the coaches, and we had kept in contact. And I told them I'd like to return when it gets to the end of the season and we have our spring season. And the spring is a nice time because there's no competition. You only play in the fall in college. So there was less pressure. You're really just training. So that got me back into the swing of things when I rejoined.
Did you play for fun at all during that time when you weren't playing like competitive?
No, honestly.
You're just away from it entirely?
Just away from it. There were times where I would go to our little turf field and kick around, but no, I wanted it to be away from it entirely. I wanted to give myself that break and step away and really see how I felt, and I missed it.
Was there anybody that helped you kind of make that decision of like, all right, I need to take a break to kind of see what this is all about?
No, honestly, I think if I could go back, and change something, I think I asked too many people,
Mm.
and I kind of wanted someone to make a decision for me.
Mm.
So I think at the end of the day, I felt in my heart always that I wanted this break, and I was looking for some sort of validation that
Mm.
someone could tell me, yeah, you should take the break, you know?
Yeah, some kind of permission to be able to.
Right. But I think most people honestly saw that I had a lot of potential and they wanted me to stick with it. So that was the hard back and forth part.
Mm. And then what was the return like? I'm reminded of like the MJ when he sort of retired and just the comeback was like, I'm back,
Yeah.
when Jack is back. What was that like?
So this was the first of a couple returns. But the return was hard at first.
Mm.
And I struggled, I think, in the first month to have the comfort knowing that I feel like I'm going to do this long term. It was still back and forth, like, this is fun, but I'm still in my head. I don't know if I really enjoy it, but I was playing well. And after that month, after a little while, I settled in and I felt, okay, I feel really, really good. I had a really good spring season. I think I was in the little games that we played, we just play friendly games. I scored the most goals on the team in the spring. So I was happy about that. Felt like I was playing well and feeling pretty good. And then in the summer, I was just buzzing to be ready finally to play, mentally and physically another season for my junior year. So I came back my junior year to campus, ready for preseason. And within like minutes, I started having a panic attack.
Mm.
And that was like my second panic attack. But I hadn't had one in a little while. And this one, I mean, was really, really hard to deal with. I couldn't be around the team for like 30 minutes to an hour straight without having to go outside or go to the bathroom just to breathe. And I think all of the stress of the competition and, like you said, kind of it was a brotherhood, but it was also about fighting for minutes. And I think that stress kind of started eating at me right when I got back on campus. So I went through the same process as I did before. I was really starting to think about, should I play? Should I not? I mean, it was that severe. Like over 3 days, this anxiety wouldn't calm down. And we were running the fitness test, and you already can't really breathe during the fitness test. I mean, I couldn't breathe without the fitness test. So it was like double the difficulty, and just got really hard for me. And I felt at that point that I kind of needed to open up about more what I was going through mentally, because at first it was more like, I don't really know where soccer is. I don't know if I should continue, but the amount of anxiety I was feeling, I never really asked for help. I never really opened up at all.
And before that, so people sort of have a general idea that, a panic attack kind of looks like this, but it looks a little bit different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like because this was the second time it happened, you recognize that, this is not me just sort of having too much of an energy drink or like too much coffee that day or something like that. How did you sort of put even a word to it? Be like, this is like an abnormal thing.
Yeah.
What did it feel like on the field? If you can kind of paint us the picture of like what was this panic? What does that look like?
Certainly like an out of body experience, I would say. It actually can kind of relate to having too much coffee, but you haven't had any coffee that day,
right.
And I think it's, like you said, it's different for different people. For me, I think I would have a lot of anxiety, and that would manifest in physical symptoms, right? Your heart's beating, you're sweating, you start to get a little shaky. But for me, it was the reaction to those physical symptoms. It was the anxiety about the anxiety. It was, wow, I am really anxious. I don't know if I'll be okay. And then at that point, I've kind of lost control of my thoughts. And that's when the out of body thing kind of starts to happen, and you just lose control and start to spiral into a place where it's really hard to sit in a room with your team and act normal.
And the first time that you have experienced it, was it on the field as well, or related to playing? Or
It was off the field. It was returning, kind of same scenario where I was returning back to not preseason. It was my freshman year in the spring. So I kind of brushed over that, but because my fall season was so hard, I started having thoughts of, should I keep playing? Should I not? Should I
Mhm.
take a step back? And when I returned to the field in the spring, just for that kind of casual spring season, right when I got back on campus, similar thing. I mean, there was no competition this time, but I think I was just so anxious about being in this environment, and all those thoughts started rushing back. And that was really confusing that first time that I had a panic attack, because I hadn't felt that. I mean, it was like if you, I don't drink too much coffee,
Yeah.
but if you've had too much,
Like a
it's like
bunch of
that times
espresso.
10, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like 10 espresso shots. So you start to kind of freak out. And I'm sure there's some people that have had 10 espresso shots that feel like they need to get rushed to the hospital. And that's kind of the same feeling. You're like, I think I need to go to the hospital or something like that.
And especially, I mean, what you're describing, that loop, right? Of like you're getting anxious, then you sort of start to panic. You have physical symptoms, and the physical symptoms make you even more anxious. Um, and it sounds like as that loop was going on, you're like, all right, I might be having a heart attack. Like something here is really, really bad. Were you thinking about actually going to the hospital? Were you thinking about, oh, I need to get like an ambulance?
Um, I would say maybe at certain points, because I didn't think it was going to be able to slow down. And I'll fast forward back to my second panic attack. I was supposed to stay with my teammates that night and be all together. And I happened to be with my assistant coach at the time because I was close with him and I needed to be with someone, but I also needed space to breathe and not be with my teammates. And all of this is just, I was scared to show what I was going through to everyone. But I was supposed to stay with my teammates that night in one of their apartments, and I couldn't do it. I mean, I couldn't bring myself to show what I was going through. So I went to the hotel on campus to try and get a room. My assistant coach had dropped me off at this point. I wasn't 21 yet because I wasn't a senior. They didn't accept someone that you couldn't buy a room there if you weren't 21. So I was just by myself, no hotel, nothing. And I ran across the city to another hotel. I don't know if I should say this, but I used my fake ID
We're going to bleep that part out.
to buy a room just so I could breathe for myself for that night. And no one knew really where I was or what I was doing. And I forget the lie that I made up, but I just could not show what I was going through. And so to your point, I don't know what would have happened if I did stay with my my team, but I didn't need to go to a hospital necessarily, but I definitely needed space. I needed to get away. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you get to a place where you're just about survival, and you're like, I need to, like having that feeling of that I can't even breathe is one of the scariest things that anybody can feel. Like this is if I can't breathe, I'm probably gonna die, right? If I can't, I got to figure out something, and to get to a place of like, well, I'm kind of stuck. So to be resourceful, props to you for finding some way to get a room.
I don't know. It's crazy thinking about the fact that I couldn't just ask for help at that point. Obviously, it's a bit different now, I feel.
Do you think at that point, because that's also a common experience that you can go through and not feel like you can turn to somebody or say like, hey, like this is what I'm going through. Do you think what made it difficult to ask for help was more so the environment of the team? And again, nothing against the team. Like all teams are like this right now. It's not a big deal. Or was it more so just internally coming to terms with like, oh, I have something I need help for, or some combo of the two? What do you think made it hard to ask for help?
I think it was internal mostly. I think I grew up somewhat like that, where I was kind of scared to show my emotions in any aspect. And I think it relates to the team, not necessarily environment, but a situation where there's a lot of competition for playing time and there's a lot of competition in general. And I didn't want to show any sign of weakness. I didn't want to show anything that I was already anxious about playing minutes, and getting more time. I didn't want anything to get in the way of 1 or 2 more minutes on the field. And so I knew that, or I thought that, if I told everyone what I was feeling, then that was going to go away. I also socially wanted to be accepted and fit in and get along well with the guys. So just naturally, I didn't want to be thought of as, someone that either needs special things or just an outcast or someone that has a problem. So those were some of the things that were, like keeping it inside.
Which makes sense, especially in any high pressure environment in a sport, in soccer, like maybe there'll be a penalty kick situation, or we really need a goal. Can we rely on this
100%.
person or not? Are they going to just, sort of let the team down, right? So you don't want to be, you probably felt like I didn't want to have the vulnerability, like, oh, this can compromise my ability to be on the field.
100%.
When the team actually found that, okay, here's a way that we might need to support Jack, did you feel like the response was different from the way that you had sort of built it up?
Yeah, it was completely
It was
opposite.
different, okay.
And I feel lucky to have had coaches and teammates that when I shared this, like, showed me so much love and support, because that might not always be the case. But in my situation, my coach, I'll never forget the first thing he said when I shared what I was going through, which was, "What does a panic attack actually feel like?" He was curious. It wasn't just like, "Wow, I'm sorry."
Yeah. Go to the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the bench. Get off the team. It's okay. No, he was really there for me, and he wanted to understand what I was going through. And I felt like that was special for me. That made me feel like he cared about me as a person, not just as a player. And the same thing with my teammates. I mean, when I told them this is what I'm going through, I think I'm going to step away. I'll never forget my teammate, who I'm still really, really close with, came up to me and said, "I hope you know you have a family here."
Wow.
So it wasn't just about playing time. It wasn't just about all those thoughts that I had built up in my head about, are they going to keep trusting me on the field? Am I going to be viewed as weaker? No, they really, really cared about me, and they really wanted me to be okay, and they wanted me to be a part of the team. So that meant a lot for me.
I love that, because just like as you're struggling to find your identity as a player, and like you said, like as a player, as a person, here's an opportunity for people to come through and show you that they care about you as a person. And this might feel like a commercial break or something, but I gotta ask you, right, when you're thinking about a coach and panic attacks and soccer, Ted Lasso, like the corollary has to happen.
Yeah.
I was curious, like how did that feel? As obviously you were going through this before the show was a thing, right? Did you watch that show?
I did.
Did it feel like it was, oh, I can sort of relate to some of these things that are there?
100%. I think, weirdly enough, like, my story journey with, like, my own anxiety, with my own mental health, like, I think really mirrors the time period where it started to get more popular, for whatever reason, in society. And obviously it's reflected in Ted Lasso. So 100% when he's having that panic attack, like, and he's holding his chest, and it's really sudden, right? Like, you can see it. Like, it's not necessarily, obviously it's a bit of a stressful time, but he kind of just stops talking, and it's really sudden. So there's little, details like that I can really relate to. And yeah, I mean, believe me, like, after I really started to share more about what I was going through, and that was just the start, what I went through with my team, everything opened up. I really started to realize, like, I thought it was just me, you know what I mean? And it really is a shared experience, which makes it all the more, like, beautiful in a weird way to go through, because it's really, really raw emotion that we can all share. And sometimes these emotions we want to hide. But the beautiful part is that it is shared, and it is expressed. And when it is, you can be met with that support and love, and it can actually bring people closer.
I love that. And I imagine that's probably that sort of drive to share and to kind of have the shared experience maybe led you to, I know you were very involved with us at Athletes for Hope, being, mental health, athlete mental health ambassador. What was the maybe impetus there of saying, you know what, I want to be able to speak out with my team, but also speak out with other athletes, let
Yeah.
folks know this is something that exists?
Yeah. Athletes for Hope was the first organization I reached out to after my time at Georgetown. And yeah, like you said, I mean, I just wanted to help. I wanted to help people that were in my situation. And like I said, what I found was that there were a lot of athletes that were struggling with anxiety, depression, very individual things too, whatever there's struggles with everything. And I found it interesting, for example, that we have trainers for our physical bodies in college and pro sports, but there's no one really there to help mentally. At Georgetown, I think we had one sports psychologist for all the athletes, but we had one athletic trainer for each team. So it's things like that that show that we could have more opportunity and more resources mentally. And I think Georgetown, along with other schools, and like I said, society, it just paralleled with my experience that we're starting to finally pay more attention to the mental side of the game and realize that it does manifest in a physical way. And I also think there's more people that are speaking about it, like myself, like Athletes for Hope is doing a great job with directing resources towards the mental side of the game.
If you can go back to sort of maybe that first year, you know, if you're talking to a school, you're talking to the Big East and saying, hey, like, from an advocacy standpoint, these are the resources that I would have loved to see as an athlete. What do you think would have been helpful to see when you're starting out?
Yeah, I think for freshmen, I'm not sure exactly how you could manifest this or put it concretely, but I think there should be some sort of transition person or organization resource that they can have other than their coach, or because that might be a little stressful at times to go to your coach. Because as a freshman coming in, there's all these changes and it's hard to adjust, and some freshmen don't play as much as seniors. And there's a whole transition period. So I think it would be nice for them specifically to be able to have someone or something to always be more or less available. And the other thing, like I said, is just have more psychologists or, you know, wellness professionals to be able to help for each specific team, because each specific team has a different schedule, different needs. So like I said, I mean, there's a athletic trainer that works on our physical bodies. Each and every team has one because we have different needs. So why not have one sports psychologist for each and every team?
That makes sense. You would think like having one sports psychologist for all of the teams would be a tough thing to balance. And I know this sort of gets to a bigger, or maybe another layer of the problem nationally, is one half of the problem, which is what you're tackling head on, is stigma and advocacy and being able to tell your story. Sometimes what we hear from athletes then is the second half of the problem. Once we do come out and tell our story, it's like there's no access. Like, I don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
I get on a waiting list, talk to a psychologist, and it's like 9 months away. What was it like for you navigating, all right, I will talk to somebody. Was it easy to get in with somebody? Was it easy to have the access part?
So I think what helped me in my case, well, to answer your first question, no, it wasn't easy. I was that guy, what you said, which was I was on a wait list. We had one sports psychologist at the time, and all these athletes wanted to talk to her, and it was really tough to get the time. So what helped me was actually talking to my coaches and my teammates. And my coaches did allow me to, for example, away trips were really difficult for me to go on. I, for whatever reason, felt like very trapped, both physically and mentally, I guess, because I didn't have my own room. So they allowed me to pick my roommates for those trips. And that is like a small thing that they did that meant a lot for me. And my anxiety completely subsided. I think also just saying how I felt in general to the people I was scared of telling was what allowed all that weight to get lifted off my shoulders. So those were things that helped. It wasn't, I guess, necessarily sports psychologist. The other thing that we had at the time was, like I said, I was close with my assistant coach. He was someone that was really close with all the guys on a personal level. So he kind of acted as like a very much team morale coach.
Nice.
And our athletic trainer at the time acted as well as someone that was very much there for us mentally as well as physically. So those two people were really instrumental in helping not only me but other people as well feel more like they could come to them with whatever they're dealing with.
That goes a long way. Just like the team culture, team like morale, like you said before, when somebody said to you, "Oh, you have a family here." Family can be great or it can be challenging, right? We know that around holiday time. So maybe as more of that family dynamic was sort of manifesting on the team, were there other teammates that were like, "Oh, dude, like you said this, I've been struggling with something similar, or I had something, you're not the only one," or something like that? Did you have more of that over the course of playing, in college?
Honestly, that season, no, I hadn't had people come up to me yet. It was more when I would work with Athletes for Hope
Mm.
that I would get people reaching out over social media. Some of my teammates then finally came through and forward and
Oh.
said that they were struggling as well. Same with other athletes at Georgetown that I had been close with there.
Mm.
But no, nothing as much like right in the thick of the season.
That's interesting too. That it sort of takes people sometimes. Everyone has their own timing, their own like when they see the right thing. It's like, oh, well, now I kind of feel like I can say something,
Yeah.
but it's sort of their own journey and very challenging in its own way. How about when you were transitioning out of from the college level to the professional level? What was that transition like?
That was really interesting, and I think also atypical for me.
Mm.
So that season, when I had returned for my junior year, um, all the anxiety subsided, most of it, and I still got probably the same amount of minutes that I got my freshman year, but I had a new perspective, and I was really grateful for those minutes, and I was
Mm.
just grateful to be on the team. I was grateful for this newfound feeling of family that I had.
Mm.
And to your point, so we actually had a really, really, really good season. I could tell from the very beginning of when I joined back that our team was pretty special that year, and both on the field and off the field. And we had kept progressing. We had won the Big East that year. That was when I scored the game-winning goal in the Big East final.
Nice.
Won the award for the best offensive player. So that was like a dream for me, thinking about how just a little while ago I was not on this team and thinking I wasn't going to play again. We kept progressing. We made the tournament, and we made it to the national championship final. And I was just so nervous, but in a good way this time. And all I wanted was that trophy, as everyone did. And we played Virginia, and it was back and forth. So they scored first. I was like, all right, we lost. That's it. Then we scored, and we scored again. So we were up 2-1. They scored 2-2. We scored 3-2. I thought we won. They scored in the last couple minutes, 3-3. So I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore, man. Like, someone just put it away and win the game. So I went to overtime. No one scored. And then I went to penalties to decide the national championship.
Let's go.
And in the Big East semifinal, in the little tournament we had, I was one of the guys that took penalties. I was pretty good at them. So it's 5 penalties each. In the Big East semifinal, I had missed mine.
Ooh.
So, all of the pressure that I put on myself as I am, like, as a person and a player, I was very, very disappointed in that. And I knew, like, of course, of all moments to make up for it, this is a pretty good one.
Okay.
So we all scored our penalty shots. We won 7-6 on penalties, and we won the national championship. And I remember the first thing I thought was what we were just talking about, which is all my fears of, will they trust me on the field, let alone to take a penalty in the national final, and make up for the one that I missed. And I just couldn't have been more happy for winning that trophy, obviously, and having the accomplishment, having the team have that accomplishment, because it was really special for all of us, but also what I went through mentally and pushing through the other side of it. I knew that was like right after that was when I reached out to Athletes for Hope, because I wanted to share what I had gone through, and I knew that it had turned into a success story that I could share with other people. What happens if you push through it, and if you be vulnerable, if you express what you're going through, and have it be met with people like my coach and people like my teammates with so much love and support. And after that, COVID hit.
Wow.
So that was a whole crazy story for everyone. And I was presented with another moment where I was like, I think I'm just going to end it there and stop playing. So I wasn't doing too much during COVID. I mean, I was really just waiting for this whole thing to be over. I didn't know what was next for me. I was bouncing around.
But wait, hold on. Before we go to COVID, because I got to just say, even as a casual soccer fan, anybody who like knows anything about soccer, it's like, yo, the most pressure thing you can imagine is penalty kicks.
100%.
And the most pressure moment you can think of is a national championship game. And I just want to kind of get this picture a moment for. So where did you go in the order? Where were you?
I was third.
You were third. And as you were thinking, like, what was going through your mind as you were approaching the penalty kick? You're thinking, all right, I missed the one at the semis and I was out of the game for a year. Like, walk me through like the mind.
You know what? So the whole game, when it was 1-1, 2-1, I was so nervous the whole time. But there came a moment in overtime. I was out of the game at this point, and I just knew it was going to penalties. Like, I was like, I know that. I mean, there was 5 minutes where I was processing, like, I'm about to take a penalty, and it's about to mean a lot. But after I processed that, honestly, I knew there was no other choice in a weird way for me other than to score this thing because I had wanted it that bad. And when I stepped up to the spot, I would say I was the least nervous in the whole 120 minutes that we were playing. And I put my mind to when I was younger and imagined an empty net and just me in my backyard and wanted to hit it in. And that was it. And I don't know. I mean, it worked. But honestly, that was my mindset. I was not nervous in the walk up to the penalty. Like I said, I felt like there was honestly no other choice. I remember talking about it with my roommate on that trip. I mean, there's no other choice other than to win this thing. We can't do this again. Like, it was our first in program history. We had never won it before for Georgetown. And this was the team to do it.
This is iconic to think of it as like here's the whole story. This makes sense why we're going to maybe make a movie out of this coming soon.
Yeah.
Athletes for Hope preview here. But that is kind of like picturesque in this, like, here's the full circle moment of how this anxiety could have been this opponent that debilitated you or took you out of the game that you love entirely. And it's sort of an overcoming of this whole thing.
Totally. That, like I said, that was the first thing I thought about. And then I started to think about other people. And I was like, other people are surely going through this. And, you know, if a national champion is going through this, there's got to be other people that have that ability to be at that level as well, that need the help that I needed. Because I wouldn't have been a national champion if I didn't get that help.
That's a great perspective. So you felt at that point is like this, I wouldn't have even reached this if I didn't get the help that I needed at the moment that I did.
No chance.
And there are probably people who, if they don't reach out at the moment that they have the opportunity to get support or help, it's like maybe having, you know, maybe your Achilles is a little bit on the fence, and if you don't get it taken care of, it can end your career or whatever. So are you framing that message now to people when they're like, hey, should I reach out? But what if my coach is going to bench me? You know, what if all the what ifs that people go through? How do you encourage somebody through the what ifs?
It's almost still worth it to me. Like the expression of how you feel in almost every moment is always worth it, in my opinion, because that's you sharing your truth. That's you aligning with who you are. And the repercussions of not doing it are too severe, in my opinion. At least they were for me. Because what happens is that emotion gets stored inside of you, and you need some sort of outlet to express it. And if you're not doing it off the field, you're also not going to do it you're not going to do it on the field. That was one of my biggest struggles as well, was not only could I not speak about how I was feeling off the field, but on the field, I wasn't playing like myself. I wasn't being the player that I knew I could, the one that was like free flowing, scoring goals, kind of trying things. It was my outlet of creativity. It was my creative expression, soccer. So when I couldn't be myself off the field, it was the same on the field. I was like a shadow of the player that I was. I would freeze when I got the ball, the same way I would freeze when I needed to say something and I couldn't say it.
That's beautifully said. Just kind of this, what it means to be like your full self. When you were seeing this off the field, you know, not when you're playing, how did that show up? You know, not being able to say something you wanted to say, or not being able to like being a shadow or a shell of yourself in ways. Did you see that in like friendship? Did you see that in family? What are the ways that you sort of noticed that?
I think a little bit of both.
Mm.
When it happens on both spectrums, so negatively or negative emotions, I didn't want to feel, or I didn't want to, speak up.
Mm.
If there was, for example, in a friendship where there's some sort of confrontation or someone's saying something I don't agree with, I was really, really scared to be confrontational or disagree with them because I didn't want any sort of negative emotions to come up. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want to get into an argument, and I didn't know how to communicate how I felt in a way that we were allowed to continue a conversation. And I think on the other, side of it, when I was really joyful, for example, I didn't always show all my joy. If I got an award at the time in front of my team, I didn't always show how happy I was. I was kind of scared to show any emotion that extreme or that high at all, really. I just kind of wanted to be very stoic, I guess is the word.
Because the more stoic or neutral you kind of were, the less scary it can be. This volatile.
Yeah, I think at times it's scary to show your personality. You'd almost rather be. Sometimes it's easier to be like a little bit irrelevant or not talked about than it is to show too much joy, show that you have a different opinion, and it's not the healthiest thing in my. I definitely felt like I could have showed and expressed more myself. It's something I'm still working on. To be able to be 100% and fully me at all times, to not be in my head at all about should I say this, should I say that. And I think we all, I've found, deal with that on a certain degree. It's not like a heavy thing always, but I think there are certain situations where we are thinking, should I say this and should I do that? And I think the answer is always yes.
It's worth it to be your full self.
Yeah.
Did you feel like as you went to, whether when you were playing with New York City FC or, of course, the whole thing going overseas, in the soccer world, did you feel like, now you're playing with grown men, it's not you and college guys. Was that like a different kind of pressure to also not be your full self? Well, now I got to be a certain way because I'm playing with these like ultra competitive, like, these are professionals. Or what was that pressure like?
I think I evolved over time. I think with New York City, it was my first experience playing with men, playing with, professionals. And I mean, I was just so grateful, first and foremost. I was so happy. It was the club that I had supported growing up. So to be able to play for them was amazing. But yeah, I mean, I would sit down for like a team meal and just like, like not try and like do anything stupid or like miss the food in my mouth,
with your nails or something?
Yeah.
Something crazy.
But no, I think to a certain extent, honestly, credit to Athletes for Hope and like the work that I was doing with them, the amount of times that I had shared my story, it was like free therapy, man. Like,
wow.
I started
free therapy.
Exactly. Like I started to be able to be more comfortable with myself. So to answer your question, I think I got a lot better at not worrying about what other people thought. I don't think there's a rule book for how you act as a professional, as a soccer player, as a father, as a mother, as a child, as a teammate. There's no rule book.
There's no manual.
There's no manual. Yeah. You just feel whatever you have to feel, say whatever you have to say because it's all valid. There came a point where I would invalidate what I was feeling. I invalidated what I was feeling at Georgetown. I can't have this. I'm a soccer player. I'm at a Division I school. These other guys aren't. I shouldn't be feeling this. It's absolutely okay. That's the whole thing, right? It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel whatever you have to feel, say whatever you have to say. If it comes from you and you feel it, you should do it or say it. That's my opinion.
I love that. And I love the fact, what you're saying is consistent with like the research and the data too, in terms of the more we are sort of helping other people, the more we're offering, it is kind of free therapy in a sense. The therapeutic thing for others becomes therapeutic for us. Can you maybe tell us a bit more about what were some of the things that you were doing with Athletes for Hope? Like when you reached out, what's the Mental Health Champions Club or these things? What were the things that you got involved in?
Yeah, so I just wanted to at first kind of get mental health out there the same time where it was becoming more popular,
Mm.
and really destigmatize the idea of asking for help and things like
Mm.
that. That culminated into sharing my story a lot on social media. We would have live kind of events
Mm.
where I would talk to another organization or another mental health professional, and we would just chit chat about our experiences. So after those live events, for example, that's when I would get people reaching out to me
Mm.
saying, "Hey, you've helped me so much. Thank you for saying that.
Wow.
You're helping more people than you know. You're helping me." People would share their own experiences. So that was really nice. We were kind of building like a nice little community of
Yeah.
love, of people that were able to express themselves and feel no guilt or
Mm.
shame or any of that. So that was really nice. And then, yeah, later on with Athletes for Hope, there's a champions
Yeah.
program with kids at different high schools where each letter in champs stands for something. So the H is honesty. I'm trying to remember them all, but
Yeah.
um, I would go in and we'd talk about each one, and um, I'd ask them questions. I'd share a bit about my story. They would ask me questions, and we'd just talk about character building in
Mm.
general. And I think it's really important and good for people as young as possible to start to think about those things, about how to be a better person,
Mm.
how to express yourself, how to identify emotions. And really, it's just emotional intelligence. We focus a
Right.
lot on things like math and science and that type of intelligence, but I think there's a lot to be said for emotional intelligence and what's inside of us rather than what we can interact with outside of us. So that was really, really cool to experience. And Athletes for Hope, obviously, I mean, they do an incredible job
Mm.
of getting the word about mental health out there, but also connecting athletes like myself with different organizations and people and schools um, to yeah, I mean, create success and obviously build a community of helping each other.
That's beautiful because there's nothing like, I mean, that's the feedback that we often hear as well, as you're saying, is that hearing it firsthand from an athlete, from someone who's like, oh, here's what this looked like for me on the college level. Here's what it looks like for me on the
Yeah,
professional level. And like to your point as well, of these two connected things of just our emotional intelligence reflecting and impacting our day-to-day life and also impacting our performance on the court or on the field. These things, the more comfortable I am in my own skin, the more I can play the game that I love, whatever that is, and
100%,
allow it to be my canvas, right?
100%.
And it sounds like you were able to get to this place of like, well, now I could just be myself on and off the field.
Yeah.
Um, was there at any point, in sharing your story or in speaking with teammates or coaches where you got pushback? You got something that was like, whether it's a stranger, because the reason I ask this is because this is one of the what ifs that people have in their mind that are like, this would totally freak me out. Even if I have 10 people saying wonderful, supportive, beautiful, things, one person like trolls me,
Hmm.
then I'm like, I don't know, I couldn't do it. Did you have anybody that said something or any kind of negative thing that you had to like navigate? You're like, oh, this was like a little discouraging, or like a side comment or a troll or something like that. That was like
To
not
be
great.
honest, no,
Love that.
I was surprised,
Love
man.
that.
Not at all. Like every time I shared my story, even my friends that I was terrified of sharing it with them,
Mm.
and these are guys that talk so much smack about like sports in general.
Yeah.
Like this guy sucks.
Yeah.
It's like every time I tell what I'm going through to this day, I mean, they think it's fantastic.
Mm.
The people that I was most scared of telling are the people I have the most support from,
I
which
love
is
that.
just amazing to continue to do. And no, literally not one negative comment at all. And to the people that do have negative comments, because they do exist, I'm
Mm.
sure. Um, I think obviously everyone's has their own right to their own opinion.
Sure.
But I think the more that we talk about these things, the more that they hear people's real stories, and the more that they can see maybe themselves in those other stories, that the more that they would understand. And I also get it, like, again, if you feel something, you say something. Like, I think everything's valid. Every opinion's valid. So they're allowed to have their opinion, and it doesn't affect me, and it shouldn't affect other people as well.
Yeah, I just love what you said there of like the people that you were most afraid of, that's where you got the most support. And the reason I just wanted to underscore that is that so often there's this, like we have this buildup, right? And that buildup is so hard to overcome. And the possibilities are infinite and they're all scary. And then we realize the reality is much more support. And this is part of why we're doing even this right now. Is
Right.
if you were speaking, let's say, to somebody who has been considering right now, you know what, I'm going through something, but I don't want to seek help. I'm like afraid because I'm in a really competitive D1 school somewhere in the States. What would you say to that person?
Mena, I found a direct correlation between the amount of fear that I've had, or just difficulty that I'm going through, and if I push through it, the amount of success that I have on the other end of it. The good feeling that I have pushing through it. I think it's directly correlated at this point, because at first I was terrified of it. I wanted to quit everything, like, quit. I don't want to say it. I don't want to do it. And if you push through and are able to ask for help, able to do the thing that scares you, the benefits, like I said, have been so directly correlated to how terrified I was. Like I said, but like you just pointed out, I mean, the people I was most scared of telling are the people that have been the most supportive. I'm now in Spain playing professional soccer.
Yeah.
And I was so terrified of leaving the country at all, let alone to play a professional season. And over time, working through that year by year with little trips, or framing my mind in a different way, meditating on it, and ultimately just making the leap. I found such a massive reward in the last 6 months of being overseas. And the same thing with Georgetown, obviously. I mean, I wanted to stop. I remember telling my parents I had never been so sure of a decision in my life to stop playing. But I mean, I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So to the people that maybe are scared to ask for that help, I mean, I think my story obviously shows it, but there can be some really, really beautiful things, obviously, that come from being vulnerable and expressing what you're going through, and having people support you at the end of the day.
I love that. I mean, that's incredible. Both it is telling in your story, and not just the fact that you were able to get to the national championship and win. Like, I think even if you missed that penalty kick, you know what I mean? Even if you didn't get that trophy.
Try not to think about what would have happened.
I was curious. I was going to ask you, because in some ways it would have still, obviously this is the movie, right? This is the sports movie with the ups and downs and the win at the end. But it's still a great movie, even if there wasn't a trophy at the end.
Totally.
There's still like a triumphant story in this. I just underscore that because sometimes if somebody's going through this and they do seek help and then they go for it and they're like, and we lost the game, you know what I mean? And I am not the biggest, best offensive player. That is a different level of encouragement that's needed there as well. I was curious, as we're sort of coming a bit to a close in this particular season of your life, when you're in like Spain and, soccer or football in Europe it's big time. It's big time in America. We're getting on the map finally, we're trying to learn it, but culturally, like adjusting to being overseas and adjusting even to like the mental health culture in Europe. Did you feel like there was a difference there as far as, I remember when I visited Spain, I felt like, oh, everyone's happier here. It's a siesta, like, people are chilling. What was like the sports culture as far as mental health is concerned? Did you feel like it's pretty supportive? Do you feel like it's, what's the vibe?
It's extremely supportive. I was really, really pleasantly surprised. I mean, the people there in general are so warm and loving. But as a foreigner coming in, again, it's a competitive environment. I mean,
Yeah.
more competitive than Georgetown. It's a
Mhm.
professional environment, and everyone's fighting for playing time. And the same people I'm fighting for playing time with are the people that, again, have been like so welcoming and so loving. And if I have a problem, they're the first ones to be by my side and ask if I need something. Yeah, everyone's made me feel so welcome from the first day. It's just been like such a pleasure to be a part of the group.
I love that, man. And I would be remiss if we're talking about Spain. And I think there was a dude that played there by the name of Leo something, Messi or something.
Yeah,
Uh, Obviously Argentina, but also Spain at some point. We got to hear who's the GOAT in your perspective.
it's easy for me.
It's easy. Who is it?
Leo, for sure.
My man. Why?
Man, the way that he plays, you can talk about goals, you can talk about assists, you can talk about stats, but if you know football, in my opinion, if you know soccer, I think you'd understand that there's not a single player that can can replicate what he does on the field, moving in and out of players, the way that he moves, the things that he creates, passing, goals, assists, obviously, but no, it's magic. It's beautiful, and obviously now he's got a World Cup. You can't dispute that.
Cam, that's a good one. And my first Messi Magic experience, he played when he first played his first game in Miami, and I caught that game, and it was one of those where he scored a goal
Yeah.
at the last second. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good.
Pretty good.
He's onto
Not bad.
something. Yeah, he's got a future. This kid's got a bright future. Jack, I can't thank you enough for taking time to sit with us and not just for being able to share your story, but being this like advocate who is like, you're going out of your way. You were the one to reach out. You had the initiative to reach out for Athletes for Hope. So on behalf of Athletes for Hope, the whole Being Athlete program, I just wanted to, thank you. We're so grateful for your example, for your vulnerability, for your honesty, for just being you, man. This has been a pleasure. I
My
just
pleasure.
really appreciate you.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for being here. And thanks for tuning in to this episode. Check out Jack Beard. Please, support. Is there a way to watch your games in Spain?
You need a subscription. So.
Subscribe, man. Subscribe. Get it. It's worth it. Some great football.
Yeah.
But keep following them on social. What's your at? So we'll get people to follow you.
jbeer10,
My
I
man.
believe, on Instagram.
Check them out on Instagram and continue to tune into our podcast here as we feature incredible athletes and feature their mental health story. And just thank you for supporting Athletes for Hope, and we'll see you next time.